creativity, ideas, innovation, change, leadership development, youth in entrepreneurship. Only on
Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz.
Good evening and namaste. Welcome to a brand new episode of Youth in Entrepreneurship Season 2. You are listening to Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz. I am Asna, your radio host. This program is co-sponsored by Utsa Learning Center and it airs every Sunday from 9 to 10 p.m. Youth in Entrepreneurship is a radio talk show where we interview and share stories of entrepreneurs and attempt to understand the current scenario of entrepreneurial business in Nepal. The main objective of this show is to promote innovative ideas of our younger generation. Today on Youth in Entrepreneurship, we have with us Mr. Kashyap Shakya, the co-founder of Allied Food Industry and the brand manager at Nepal Life Insurance Company Limited. He is also a lecturer of marketing and business at Kathmandu College of Management, ACE Institute of Management and IBMS. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Asna.
So, how did you come up with the concept of Allied Food Industry?
See, if you really look into the background of Allied Food Industry, it's not something that I incepted. It's not my own innovation. It was a family business that was being run, and my grandfather had a vision of running a industry factory kind of a thing, so that we could make something of our own and sell a local product in Nepal. So it had been there for almost like 10-15 years, and while I was working with another company, then it struck that it's high time that I also get involved in it, so that I needed a platform to do something of my own. So I thought that was the best platform. So then is when I thought about jumping into Allied Food Industry and taking it forth.
So were there any hardships that you faced while starting Allied Food Industry?
Yeah, definitely. Starting in the sense, my career in Allied Food Industry, that is how I look at it, because honestly speaking, Allied Food Industry was in a deep trouble at that particular point of time, because of lack of proper management, and we were running it in a very family business kind of a thing, and there were pilferages, and there were a lot of problems. Yeah? So when I jumped into the particular business, the problems that I faced was managing the internal system first of all, bringing up proper management system, properly managing the company, the human resources, the financial resources, everything, from different kind of products to what product line should I stop selling, or what product line should I introduce. All these things were a big so the problem with being involved with the business, and apart from when you are working with another company, is that when you are in your own business, you have to look after everything from every aspect of management. So that was a little bit challenging at that particular point of time.
So how did you overcome that challenge?
See, it's basically learning. When you're working with a company, you look at different aspects. Personally, I have always been involved in marketing. That's my area of interest and expertise. Okay, but when I jumped into Allied Food Industry, that was not the only thing that I could look after. So I had to, bring in innovation, and I had to look at other aspects. I consulted many people. Learning from previous organizations made a lot of difference. So it's basically about you have to learn a lot. You have to do a lot of reading also sometimes. Okay. Maybe watch some videos on YouTube just to understand some concept, so that way it's basically a learning experience.
Okay. So what are the different types of food products that Allied Food Industry is working on?
We started off with spices and flours. For example, all kinds of spices, from turmeric to cumin to chili powder to etc. And then we started off with the food products like flours, for example, rice flour or buckwheat flour, which is like pretty popular nowadays. Millet flour, maize flour, all these things. And presently, one of the new innovative products that we've started is a baby food. It's a baby weaning food, usually recommended for children above 6 months, and it goes up to like 2 years. So we thought of why we came up with this product was, we saw a big gap in the market where there's an imported food product. I won't name the product, and there are the local brands. Okay, but there's a very, very huge gap in between. Because the local people in mass cannot afford to a lot for the costlier one, and the quality of some or majority of the baby food products were not up to the standard from our point of view. So we thought of coming up with a brand, a product which is reasonable for the masses, which is nicely packaged, which has got all the ingredients required, and which is reasonably priced and which is available throughout. So that's the latest product that we launched. It's called Mam.
So what are your plans and visions for allied food industry?
Yes, we definitely plan to expand at the particular point of time. For example, the baby food, we are like thinking about expanding into various varieties, because people look at varieties, but since we are trying to keep it as natural as possible, we have promoted it as a naturally nutritious baby food. So it's again a challenge, because we are not adding additive flavors and preservatives and etc. So what kind of different food, and since it's baby food, is very, very sensitive. The market is very sensitive, so you have to be very careful with that, and we've tried to take all the precautions required. So we're trying to expand into again like varieties of baby food, and we're trying to come up with various other products as well, and we're also looking into some health segment related foods. So let's see.
So what are the various branding and advertisement platforms that you have for your firm?
See, since baby food is a product which actually there are some restrictions as far as promotion of baby food is concerned. So even in the international arena also, the baby foods, specifically the weaning food is not supposed to be promoted, and the Nepalese government also has some kind of rules and regulations regarding the promotion of baby food. So we just have to stick to the retail level. So all we can do is we can go and display our products, or we can do some kind of trade promotions, but we really can't get into the mainstream advertisement and promotions. Again, that's another challenge actually.
So how is your firm dealing with the ongoing crisis that our country is facing?
That's actually a difficult situation, as well as a difficult question to answer right now. Honestly speaking, we're in a fixed kind of a situation. Because for example, let's say somebody comes and gives me 10 liters of petrol right now. That's not enough, because I may be able to run my van and deliver the product, but what will I do with that 10 liters of petrol if my raw material supplier is not able to provide me the supply? What if I have the raw material, I have the resources to transport the product to the shops, but what if my employees are not able to come to office in time? So it's some pieces of the puzzles are always missing. So it's become very, very difficult for us to run the business. But anyways, we're trying to do our best. We have hired cycles, and we stay in line for petrol whenever possible. With the minimum amount of petrol that we get, we try to we have optimized our distribution. We've optimized our shifts of work. So that's how we are managing. But let's see how long it can go.
So, sir, you previously pursued your bachelor's in engineering, but you did your master's in business. What made you switch your area of expertise? Was it because of your parents that you had to take up engineering, or did you realize later that you see your future in management and marketing as your forte?
That's a very common question that everybody puts to me. So it's not exactly like that. My family has been very, very open about what we want to pursue. So engineering was by choice. Honestly, if you really ask me, that was the time when the combination of engineering and MBA was pretty popular. So when I was in my plus 2, I used to look at a career being a management student, and then I was looking into a platform that would be the best platform for further studies, MBA. So at that particular point of time, engineering was the best platform that was being promoted, or that we could look around. So that was one of the reasons as to why I chose engineering, and then I pursued my MBA later on. So that was one of the reasons. No family pressure.
So you have a diverse work experience ranging from industry management and branding and education, and with allied food industry as an entrepreneur. So which among these do you enjoy the most?
If I have to rank it, teaching is the best thing that I can do, or I like to do. And then I definitely enjoy working in my factory, my company, because that's my own. And then yes, the branding part, when I go to Nepal Life Insurance, I enjoy that part as well. So definitely, but the first choice is always teaching, always has been teaching.
So did you always have this, since you were a child, did you always wanted to become a teacher, or did it just happen?
No, I had a for example, when I was giving my interview in Kathmandu University School of Management, at that particular point of time, also I had in mind that at one point of time I'll be teaching in this school. So when my teachers, when the interviewers asked me, I told them, I will, at one point of day I'll be a lecturer in Kusum itself. So I had that in mind from pretty long time back.
Okay. So you also work at Nepal Life Insurance Company Limited, which is a life insurance institution. So what sort of responsibility do you hold as a brand manager?
Branding definitely is the most core part. You have to talk about brand management and brand development and brand related activities, and along with that comes media management and things like that. But in Nepal, it's a general trend that the brand manager or the marketing manager has to look after PR also. Corporate communications, internal communications to some extent. So those also become a part of my responsibility. So I have to look after the branding thing. For example, when I joined Nepal Life Insurance, the project that I was called in for was the rebranding and corporate rebranding of the whole Nepal Life Insurance as a company. From the logos to the communication to the positioning, etc. And then right now, in a way, it's basically managing that particular branding aspect of the company's logo, company's brand. Okay. So apart from that, yes, I'm pretty much involved in the PR exercises as well.
Okay.
So and media is again another big thing that I have to manage.
So in Nepal, not many people are aware about life insurance. So how difficult is it to come up with an advertisement to promote the insurance services? So what are the different strategies that you apply to trigger that emotion in people to attract them to get life insurance for themselves?
That's a very valid question. Actually, it's not only in Nepal, but it's almost everywhere in the world. But the only thing is that since we are a developing nation, it's the level of literacy or the level of education plays a very vital role. So the biggest problem about life insurance is it's complex. Whether people want to agree to it or not, but it's complex. Life insurance is a very complex product, and as we say in marketing, it's an unsought product. People usually don't take the initiatives themselves to come and buy an insurance policy. Someone has to push them. For example, the recent earthquake unwantingly was a good push, or it was a good initiation for people to understand that yes, life insurance is important. So that way it's very difficult to make people understand. Again, now the complexity of the product itself or the complexity of the industry itself is very difficult. Okay, so when I put up an ad, let's say simply I put up an ad in a newspaper, it's very difficult for one person to understand the product simply. For example, when I'm putting up an ad of a juice or a noodle, it's easy. It's chicken flavored, it's noodle, it's 15 rupees. But life insurance is very complex. So that is one of the biggest challenges for us to make people understand the importance of life insurance. For example, right now, life insurance gives a very, very good return for your investments, but most people do not know about it. People may understand the interest rate of a bank, but people do not understand the bonus rate of an insurance. So that's the difference. So I have to make them understand what is bonus rate. What kind of returns do you get when you invest in life insurance? What are the benefits? Okay, so these are some of the things. And again, it's a challenge to make people understand in a, let's say, radio jingle or a 60cc ad. So it becomes very difficult. So there has to be a kind of support activities that can help people link that ad to what the product actually is. So we have to do a lot of ground level activities as well.
So you have a diverse work experience. As I said, like you're a lecturer, you work at Nepal Life Insurance, you also have your own allied food industry. So given that we only have 24 hours a day, how do you manage time for work and your family?
And right now I've got a kid also.
Okay, very good.
So it's again I would say I'm a very bad time manager, honestly, if you really ask me. Okay. Otherwise, yes, you have to manage your time. And I wake up at around 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to college, take a lecture of about 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, come back, go to office 10 to 5, and I come back again, rest for a while, play with my kid, and sometimes if I need, then I need to prepare for my lecture sometimes. Okay, so it's basically it's a regular day. It's just about how you can squeeze in your activities. That's what I have learned. When I was in college, I just had about 2 to 3 lectures a day, and my day would pass just like that. And now I'm working at 3 places, but still my day passes in a similar manner. And like I said, I've got my kid also, and I look after after him also. Spend time with him. I spend time with my family. I even try to squeeze out time for recreation sometimes. So it's basically about how you can squeeze in things. I think that's the learning part.
So we were talking about your experiences at your work. So were there any sort of criticisms and challenges that you faced in your career?
I won't say about criticisms. Definitely, when you're working for someone, there are always, on a day-to-day basis, there are things, that keep happening. But yes, challenges, there have been many, For example, you're involved with so many different projects. For example, if you look at my career, it's almost been like 10 years. I started my career as a full-time brand manager since 2005. Okay. So in the past 10 years, there have been a lot of challenges. Challenges in terms of technical challenges with products and day-to-day work, challenges on a day-to-day basis, dealing with people, and all those things have always been there. I won't say particularly there has been a very big incident, but yes, there have been challenges. For example, when you're working with a brand, when you're working with a company, there's always, you have to be on your toes, understanding that you have to keep your company, your brand, your product safe. Okay, there's always a chance that it can be defamed in the market. They can be, again, you sometimes you are supposed to deal with the media in that particular field. So those challenges have always been there, and there have been some big incidents as well. So yes, and again, like if you really look into the allied food industry, if you really look into the baby food Mamam that we've just launched, that was a very big challenge for us. It was an opportunity. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the opportunity. So challenge was, you really have to come up with the optimal product, the best product at an optimal price. That's again a challenge. You have to give again, another challenge for us was to make people understand that this product is good. But when people go to a market, they really don't know what's inside. That's when the role of packaging comes in. Now, understanding that, I've got a brother who's also an MBA, and he came back, and he's also, he's a more stricter and a more let's say straightforward entrepreneur, because he never applied for any kind of job, so he straight away came and jumped into this particular business. Okay, so we both had a discussion, and we analyzed a lot of things, and some of the since it was a baby food, if we were just coming up with a noodle brand, it would have been much easier. So since it was a baby food, it almost took us 1 year from the very inception of the idea till the time we launched our products. So these are the things, in 1 year's time, from understanding all the nitty-gritties of the ingredients, the nutrition, understanding the baby food market, all these things had a lot of research and a lot of input that we had to put in. So these are some of the but it's very interesting, to be very frank. We are pretty satisfied. Not only pretty, we are very satisfied with the product that we've launched. We've got a very good feedback from the market as well. So people have appreciated that, and that's interesting, actually.
Remarkable. So now we are going to talk about the opportunities of entrepreneurship in Nepal. What, in your opinion, is the scope for young entrepreneurs in our country?
You see, the thing is how you look at it. Many people must be complaining about the present situation, but I've seen people who've taken up this opportunity to become an entrepreneur. And I have seen people simply, an entrepreneur can be anyone. Because for example, let's say I've met a person who took the chance, who took the risk of going across the border to India. He brings in about 20 induction cookers and sells it at a margin of around 1,000 to 1,500 per induction cooker. So in a week, he makes about $50,000. So that's an opportunity. So it's just about how you look at it. People have been importing cycles, bikes. Okay, some people who are about to close their bike shops are thriving now. Even if you look at my business, if only I can get the proper amount of raw materials and a little bit of resources, I can do good business, because we can see that the imported food products for the babies are in short. It's shortage. There's a shortage of all these products. So it's basically about how you look at it. So there's a lot of opportunity, and on the other hand, people may disagree with me, but I see that more the challenge, more the opportunity. I see a lot of young people moving out of the nation, going out and settling somewhere else, because they think that there's less of opportunity in Nepal. But actually, it's the other way around that I feel. And on the other hand, again, since these people are going away, things are not taking shape, because it's basically a case of brain drain. So there's a lot of opportunity that you can look into. It's just about how you look at it. It's again, glass half empty or a glass half full kind of a situation.
So talking about challenges, what do you think are the challenges that the young entrepreneurs are facing?
See, if you there are a few challenges. For example, if you really look at it from my point of view, one of the biggest challenges that we faced was our Nepali attitude. It's basically the attitude. If you go to a government office for your license, it takes months and months and months, which could have been done in a few days time. If you really want to go and test your product, for example, you don't have proper labs. I had to send it all the way to Bombay, courier it, have it tested, and get the report from there. Okay, so it's a very small thing, but it's a very big challenge. So these are some of the things that the young entrepreneurs, I think, will have to face. But again, depends upon the kind of industry that you are in. Like I said, a person just goes across the border, buys 20 induction cookers, brings it back and sells it. Nowadays online has made it very, very easy for them to sell it. So that's just about grabbing the opportunity. Somebody doesn't have to really get into the baby food business and start up a baby food. But yes, definitely production is a very important sector where you have to, without production the nation is going nowhere actually. So these are some of the things we face. The government, and dealing with the government was a very, very big hassle, and getting things properly done is again another problem. There are lack of resources. For example, if you really look into the packaging that we have come up with the best available resources in Nepal, in Kathmandu, I must say that is the best thing that we could have done. But we had something greater in mind. We had greater references. We wanted something bigger than that, but not possible because some of the resources are not available. So those are the things. But even if some of the technical or some of the procedural things, if they become easier, 50% of the problem is solved. Rest, it's up to you. The external factors have to be solved.
So what according to you should our young entrepreneurs work on?
Actually, if you really ask me, they can work on anything. Anything that you get into, any field that you get into, if you just do it right, and if you just do it proper, and if you just want to be the best, there's scope for everything, honestly. Everything. People may say that the noodle market has become saturated, but still there's a gap, or there's a market for so many different kind of noodles that you can still think about, And I'm just giving an example of noodle, but because that's one of the most widespread products that we can have, the different varieties. So you can just get into any sector. But yes, if you really ask me which sector I would recommend, I would definitely recommend them to get into production sector. It's very necessary. Most of the entrepreneurs, I won't say they are not entrepreneurs, they just get into trading. Import the product, you sell the product, you make some profit. Okay, but that's not really helping the overall scenario. So production is very, very important. You have to try and produce something internally.
What are the qualities that these young budding entrepreneurs should work on?
The first thing is, again, I would say attitude. You have to be very, very positive about it. Until and unless you keep complaining about the present situation, you really won't get anywhere, because that's the main important thing. Until and unless you have some hope regarding that, okay, the situation is going to be better, or you are going to make the situation better, you will never be able to be successful. Again, I complain a lot. Okay, I crib about things, I get frustrated when things are not going right, but still I'm stuck here, or I have stuck to this particular situation, trying to make it better in some way or the other. So the attitude is very important, first of all. And then yes, obviously you'll have to have a little bit of know-how, some experience. I recommend a little bit of experience. I don't really recommend freshers to jump directly into a business or something of their own just because they have the financial resources. No, I really don't recommend that. You can have a few years experience, that helps a lot. Okay, proper education is a must. Again, help, never shy away from help. You can always ask people. Again, that has been a learning experience. Explore, never again feel shy to explore. That's very important. Research, analyze, all these things are very, very necessary. If you can't be an entrepreneur just lying around.
So now we are going to have a quick fire question and answer round, so it is going to be quite interesting.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
I guess so.
So what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following? Kashyap Shakya.
Is a simple guy.
Business scene in Nepal.
Chaotic but interesting. Needs improvement.
Marketing and branding.
Passionate.
Youth in entrepreneurship.
Necessity.
Allied food industry.
My baby.
Your inspiration.
My family, especially my grandfather, grandmother, and my parents.
Success.
Is delusional, or I don't know. Honestly, success I think is all. It's basically about being satisfied at the end.
Nepal.
Is where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life.
Family.
My backbone.
Life insurance.
Again, a necessity for everyone in Nepal at least.
Kashyap Shakya as a teacher.
Needs improvement.
So, is there any story that you'd like to share?
Okay, I'll just relate to a very recent story. It's it's pretty interesting. Again, from my professional point of view, from branding and marketing point of view. Actually, what happened was we were looking for a baby for our, the Mamam brand. Okay, so we wanted it to be a brand icon. And again, the problem, because it's again related politically, because we did not want a child who looked ethnically, inclined. We wanted to have a child which looked very, very ethnically, unbiased or standard kind of a baby. So what we thought was, if we did a photo shoot, it would definitely have some kind of a biasness from the child's, face point of view. Okay. So what we did was, I have a friend, and he runs a, animation studio, an agency, and we went to him and he said, okay, we can do a very nice animation. Actually, before that also we approached a few of the illustrators, but we were not very satisfied with the results. So we went to this guy. He's a very good animator. He's got a very good agency, and he said, yeah, we can do it. And we started working on an animated baby. And our approach was to make an animated baby which looked almost real. Okay, so in the end we came up with after almost like about 4 to 5 months of work, and after spending almost like 50,000 bucks, okay, that also because he was a friend of mine, we came up with the baby, and we were pretty satisfied. We put that baby on the pack, and we launched the product. Okay, fine, everybody's happy, everybody's glad. But what happened was, we started having negative feedback regarding the baby. Okay, and the problem was, everybody said, "Yo, plastic ko bacha se dekho, plastic ko bacha se dekho, plastic ko bacha se dekho." Everybody, we thought like some people, our family members must be, biased. Unale chahi euta biased opinion dieko ho ki bhanera, kinabhane, so when we were doing an internal kind of a research, everybody was saying, bacha alikati dar lagdo jasto dekhyo, yo, plastic ko nakali dekhyo. Why don't you put up a real baby, or why didn't you put up a real baby? People were suggesting me to keep my own son actually. Okay, so we said no, we wanted this kind of a standard thing, unbiased thing, so we went for this animated baby. But later on what happened was, when the product started, spreading a little bit in the market, we again got the same kind of feedback from people. People I knew, and people knew that this was my product. They started SMSing me even, personally, everything is perfect with their product, just change the baby kind of a thing. So we took it really, really seriously, and later on what we did was, we bought a baby's image, from the stock photos, and we replaced that baby, and we've just launched the new product packaging with the new baby, and everything is fine. And the moral of the story is, sometimes your experience does not work, and I'm actually giving you a very failure story. This was a failure story. Like, I spent almost like 4 to 5 months time, 50,000 rupees, a lot of effort, lot of research, and honestly, that agency, the guy or the people who did that particular baby animation, they have never done such a project. For them, that was one of the best things that they have ever done. But in the market, it failed. So what I'm trying to say is, sometimes you have to keep your biasness aside. You have to take people's opinion, and you save a lot of time and resources. That's one of the I get a positive feedback now. At least I'm satisfied that there's that negative thing is gone.
Yeah. That was a very interesting story.
Thanks.
So we're almost at the end of our show today. So is there any advice or suggestion that you'd like to give to the younger generation?
One of the most important things that I tell the younger generation is to stay in your country right now. It's very important. Not because the country needs you. I'm not one of those people who thinks that the country needs you. I would say you need the country. And later on, it's going to thrive. It's basically an economic cycle. If you look into any nation, every nation has gone through this kind of a situation, but they have only come stronger after this, and it's going to like bounce back like anything, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So just don't think about going to a foreign country and staying back, and that's the easy way out. It's not the winners or the it's not the winner's attitude. That's what I say. So stay back. Yes, definitely you have to be responsible towards your country. Be a good citizen. That's what I say. Being a good citizen actually covers almost everything. You study well, you take care of your family, you do your job. Okay, you act responsibly. So at this particular point of time, I think these are some of the most important things that you have to really look into.
We had a really enlightening conversation today, and I'm sure our listeners must have been very inspired after listening to your stories and might want to be in contact with you and your business. So, is there any contact information that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I can be contacted at kashyapshakya@gmail.com, and they can even search me in my Facebook page. I have got my LinkedIn profile, so these are the ways you can get in touch with me.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you today on Youth in Entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much, Asna.
If you have any queries or suggestions regarding the show, or if you are a young entrepreneur yourself who would like to be interviewed on this show, you can write to us. You can message us on our Facebook page, Youth in Entrepreneurship, or email us at youthinentrepreneurship@gmail.com. You can also call us on our number 4670820. You can like our Facebook page and join our radio group Radio Riyaz 96.8 MHz. Thank you so much for listening to Youth in Entrepreneurship, co-sponsored by UTSA Learning Center. I'd like to thank our concept director Abhilasha Rayamajhi. We will be back again next week with yet another amazing guest. Till then, take care and have a wonderful week. Namaste.